Hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live here in Victoria, British Columbia aboard a classic wooden motor cruiser with my lovely girlfriend Andrea and the loving memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing it and others up for some pretty ambitious cruising. Speaking of cruising, we're on the Coho, headed down to Port Angeles and then to Port Townsend, and for those of you in the wooden boat community, you'll know what that town means. Yes, indeed. I did promise a new intro for this week, and this is not exactly a new intro, is it?
No.
But I did promise that you'd be in it,
yeah.
And you are indeed.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is a bit scattered this week. We were up in General Bay, and we have done some work, but not all that interesting, so we won't dwell on it. But as I've already told you, we're on our way to Port Angeles and Port Townsend, and we're going to see some fun stuff while we're there. Mostly we're going to buy wood.
Yeah. To have good food.
And have good food and a getaway.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. I think over the years I have expressed how much I love ferries and how much I love this ferry in particular. But let me show you something about this boat that isn't that curve evocative of, let's say, Geordie or Zephyrus? Okay, this is super exciting. We're now backing up across the harbor.
Yeah. And
pretty soon we're gonna back into the bridge if they don't do something about it. Oh, look at that. We actually missed it. We missed it.
Missed what?
Well, a minute ago, the rudder was hard to port, so that it would actually back over here, but to stop the turn, oh, it's so cool. I just love it. Oh, we missed it. Okay. So now they're steering their way out of the harbor. So you see the one on the right moves just a little bit before as they make the correction. Whoop, a little bit of a correction, and that follows behind.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works, hydraulic or hydroelectric or steam, or I don't know. But they're making small corrections on the helm up in the bridge, and then the rudder takes a second or so to recover. I think that's so cool. Okay. I love ferries. I love ferries. There's the Clipper from Seattle. That's just a walk-on. Yeah. But it goes straight to downtown Seattle. We got to do it sometime. Got it.
I think I might have taken that one.
Really?
Yeah, I went back. No.
Do you recognize where we are here?
Yeah,
Fisherman's Wharf, exactly. I think it's time we can probably announce that we have actually taken an extra slip at Fisherman's Wharf, so that both boats will be in Victoria Harbour from pretty soon on. So we'll have a slip right down in there somewhere for Geordie or Palm, or we don't really know which boat's going to be where, but... Welcome back to the shed and the swoops and the upper helm and the new steering binnacle. Well, I've been messing around with this for a couple of hours already today, and I wanted to know what I wanted to say before I started talking to you today. To be fair, I still don't. Last time we spoke about this particular topic, and what I'm talking about is the actual steering station up there, I thought, as many of you had suggested, I might give it a little more curve, a little more grace, and I may still, but I also may not. It's just something that's moving in process. What you may not know is that the actual dash panel or the instrument panel will actually fit in a nice angle up amongst the windshield, and that's why I reinstalled the whole windshield here, just to see what that will feel like, and maybe that'll help with what's going on below. But anyway, so now you get to see what this all looks like. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? I even added the vanity panels back in here, which will simulate the final mahogany at some day. Anyway, it's been quite satisfying, but I'm not there yet. All right, with the windshield reinstalled, I've got a better idea of how this all feels. And actually, I really like it, as I did before. The top of the windshield is going to get a handrail on it, and I can just imagine this feels like a really great geometry. So before I mess with this anymore, I'm going to start thinking about what the instrument panel is going to be. And it's going to be integrated with the windshield. In fact, it's going to create a bracket that would structurally support and connect the two sides of the windshield here. And I'm just going to use this piece of plywood to mock it up a little bit. And yeah, you'll see sort of what I'm up to in a minute. I can scribe in against the windshield here on both sides. And I'm going to take a little bit of scrap wood here as a bit of a straight edge. And I'm just going to put it across here to give myself a rough idea of the bevel I'll have to put on the front edge of this cut so it'll sit tidy in against there. Okay, let's go make some cuts. Okay, so I've given myself a rough idea of this bevel. Let's whip off a couple of cuts here and see how it looks. Okay, so let's see how that sits in there. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Let's commit this for now. Now reinstalling the steering wheel, I think I'm going to have a problem. In other words, it's too close to the new instrument panel, which I sort of suspected. Now either the instrument panel gets smaller, and it's already pretty small, or I find a way to swoop the binnacle back a little bit, which is sort of what I've got in mind, so that the steering wheel comes back to at least here, probably a little bit further. Let me play with that for a sec. There you go, tear. Excellent. You got it. You're certainly the best dressed shipwright I've ever met.
Oh.
I've moved this whole assembly back 2 inches, and it took me a while to figure out exactly how far to come because I wanted to calculate exactly where the chain is going to fall through the wheelhouse. And this is the ideal location for that brass tube you may remember me talking about. Okay, I have enough room here. I'll probably trim this a little bit. So the next step is to see how I am going to reduce this slightly. So let's imagine shoot off at 90 degrees to the windshield. And the same on this side. Okay, trimmed and a little bit of rounding over for good measure. So having moved the whole binnacle aft here, the Morse controls can actually now move forward and probably up a little bit, keeping in mind that the shift lever is going to get shorter. So I'm going to remove this from now and take it out of the equation and start to talk to you about what I think I can do to tie my new instrument panel down to the cabin top here. And because this is on a slight angle, I think it will be the kind of the cue, a little bit of a cue of how these curves might come together. So I think there's going to be 2 curves in here. Let's make some templates. Okay, so I'm not envisioning anything particularly exotic here, but maybe just I think it's probably easier to see it as I create it than for me to try and describe it to you. Let's start with the cabin side curve and see what that does for us. Wow, it is windy out there. Let's see what this looks like. Something like that, which is, I don't know, I guess it's really only mirroring that. Suddenly, that is not looking really good. This probably needed to be further out. I'm actually thinking this is looking very dull. I'm going to try something different. This is 6 inches, so if I give myself roughly 6 inches here, I'm just going to get a lot more severe with the curves here, Peter. Yes, 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 yes. So if I use the sharp end of this, and then likewise down here, I'm going to come up there. I don't know. And this would sort of fit right in like that, right there. It's tomorrow, and well, I spent quite a bit of time last night after I finished up with you folks, contemplating what was going on here, and I'm not sure my efforts here are actually producing anything that's better than simply a rectangular pedestal, binnacle, whatever I want to call it. I'm going to make one more stab at it with a little further down here. The problem is the steering assembly inside here is already very close to this, and you know what I mean? What's needed here is not entirely in line with what might look good here. So anyway, I'm gonna have one more stab at something. Okay, a bit frustrated with all of this. I think I'm gonna try something that's a little less esoteric and pretty straightforward, and that's the shortening of the shift lever. I think about like that. I don't really want to do this twice. How does that feel? About there, shook, throttle below. Yeah, I think right about there is what I'm looking at. Therefore, the threads are up to there. Therefore, I'm shortening it by 3.5 inches. Okay, this is held in with a small wire that acts as a detent. So when it pushes in, that chamfered part pushes the wire out, and then it locks into there. So I just have to recreate this 3.5 inches further up. So that begins with the cutting. 3.5 inches further up, which is right about there. This is definitely safety glass work. Now to recreate this on here. So I thought I'd do that by chucking it up in a drill and setting that up as a poor man's lathe. Yes, indeed. Put it in high speed, give her a whiz. There we go. Again, probably goggle work. That's still going. I think I'll cheat and do a combination. This is a cutoff wheel and not a grinding wheel, so there's a bit hack. I hope you'll forgive me. It did, however, do an excellent job. Okay, so now the detent, which is about, I think I'll off to be able to do this, about there. Nice. Very nice. Not really pretty, but I suppose I could clean that up. A little Scotch-Brite. There we go, factory fresh. Didn't really help. You know, I really like this thing. Maybe someday I'll go to the trouble of dechroming this. There we go. Okay, this is a scheme about, I don't know, 10. Anyway, let's see what I think of this. That does barely cover the steering assembly. It meets this fairly nicely. I'm actually going to make the helm slightly narrower, so even better up in here. I kind of like that we're not too tight into the glass, haven't hidden the glass. What I do want to do is have a quick go at designing the actual instrument panel. Okay, just making this up as I go along. Don't be too critical. I may not even use these same gauges. But if I wanted lots of gauges up here, we have a 3.5-inch tachometer. And then I would put in over here oil pressure at 2.25 inches. And then over here I would put in engine temperature at 2.25 inches. Right here I would put depth also at 2.25 inches. Probably the most important instrument up here. And then I would have an array of switches here for running the engine, start, stop, ignition, etc. like that. And over here I would have horn and windlass. So that's roughly how this would be laid out, and I think that would work. Now the truth is, I'd probably put a couple of other idiot lights in here, which would be transmission oil pressure and charge. That's sort of nice. I've slightly modified the structure. I've trimmed it to match what I'm doing here. Go. Love it. Plenty of room to the windshield, plenty of room to the steering wheel. Absolutely perfect. No. I hate to admit how long I've taken doing this, but I have come to something I'm happy with. I won't belabor it. If you can't do something swoopy, that's excellent. It's not worth doing because you're just creating more confusion. The pedestal will be perfectly straight. It's going to be a lot smaller than it was. I've got it quite compact and the geometry is all perfect. The chain lines up perfectly with the brass tube that's going to go down below. Everything is fine except for this little notch. What I'm going to do to fix that is move the windshield forward a little bit more, and then this will die up into the frame here, and I'll actually get a little bit larger of an instrument panel. Painful. Now I have to actually cut holes in the cabin top and commit to something, and then that will give me less variables and we can get something done here. I'm going to be cutting a hole in the ceiling.
Okay,
Well, it's going to be right above Frida.
okay,
Sawdust is going to fall. Sorry.
that's okay.
So this line is cut to be exactly flush with the deck beam here, so that this piece of structure that goes through can be bolted, or at least heavily screwed and glued to the deck beam to give a little rigidity in this direction. because it's a bit precarious, I'm going to start with a dry fit. All right. This is really nice premium marine ply. Okay, it's a bit sophisticated because of the way the box had to be 3/4 of an inch aft of where I could fit against the beam down below, but this solves that problem quite nicely. So I've removed the windshield forward post and cut it 1.5 inches back from where it was before. I'm not quite sure the windshield will move ahead 1.5 inches, but I want to start with plenty of room. Now, this should just slide down into here. Oh, and it does. Very, very, very nice. Very nice, very nice. And now I will just bring the windshield back until it meets in an appropriate spot up here. So we're not too tight around the upper corner and of the windshield. Really, really pleased with this. Now, this is just the structural part. The back section will definitely go high enough up to be able to support this. But the sides may not go all the way up. They may come at a bit of an angle, something like that. I have to be able to get my hands in here with a removable panel to work on the chain and stuff in time. And good morning. Actually very, very pleased with the way this is going. Just need to make sure it can sit straight and level, which it is. And now I can take it out, glue it all up, shorten the places where it needs to be shortened, and fix it permanently. A few people have commented on how when I'm driving screws with the screw gun, I pulse the trigger, and in fact it seems to have annoyed some of you. The reason I do that is because I use Robertson screws, and well, the Robertson bit in the screw is a very well-fitting screwdriver. However, during rotation it can walk out. So in a long drive it's possible that it's walking out, and then when you really need maximum torque to finish it off at the bottom, you may only be engaged ever so slightly and then strip the screw. So the reason I pulse the drill, and I taught all the crew that ever worked for me to do the same, is that with every pulse you get to re-engage the socket in the screw and guarantee that when you're making that final push, you have full engagement. It's not meant to annoy you. That is going to be pretty strong. Okay then, and some of my favorite construction adhesive to hold this in place, as well as a fair number of screws, trust me. Of course, the deck is cambered slightly, but as long as it's equally on both sides, this is pretty close to vertical. These will be replaced with much larger screws as soon as I can get some. Okay, can you come help hold this for me? You'll want to squeak in. I'm just gonna got adhesive on it, so I just have to center it and then hold it up against right there. Now if you can sort of right where that mark is,
Yeah.
just push it up as hard as you can, a little bit back, a little bit up. But I'm gonna be gone 3 minutes, so pace yourself. In other words, push hard, but okay? And I'm gonna put some screws in from above. That's good, thank you.
Okay. Good. Oh, it's hard.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Can I put it down?
Yeah, you can let go, and you can put the level down. All right.
Looks cool.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah. Excited.
Wait until it's covered with mahogany. Okay, so I think I'll actually probably put bolts in here eventually, and some big carriage bolts in here. Not carriage bolts, lag bolts in here. So, but this will all hold it in place while the glue dries. Love it, love it, love it. Saturday morning in Port Townsend in the Shipwrights Co-op area. Marine Thrift is an institution here for old boat stuff, but this particular Saturday is extra special because it's the old used boat part swap meet. Let's go find some bronze.
I got him in last year.
Look, a helm ready to go. Would have solved all my problems.
Like a 40-foot center console.
Okay, for those of you who know what this is the gold standard of diesel engines.
They do look grab a bunch of thing over your shoulder.
Y'all remember Damien? This is the motor you should have, man.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That would fit in Lacey just perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, it was so great to
Lower
reconnect.
the water line a
Lower
few
the water
inches.
line a few inches,
Yeah.
exactly. Anyway, super great to reconnect with Damien while I was down here.
Yeah, of
Really
course.
great to see you again.
Yeah.
And we're percolating a neat plan,
Yes.
which we'll
we
probably
sure
let
are.
you in on a little later.
Yeah.
Anyway, good to see you
I'm
again,
looking
mate.
forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be super.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta run, put a show together. See you around, mate.
All right.
Cheers.
Well, it's great seeing you.
You too. It's around here somewhere. Well, hello there and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week, and coming to you this week from, well, if you can't read it over these fine gentlemen's shoulders, the Boat Geeks. Please welcome Darren and Darren.
Hello,
Who are the Boat Geeks?
we are the Boat Geeks.
And what are the Boat Geeks?
A couple of guys that geek out on boats.
Love boats, everything about
Everything
boats.
about boats?
What do we say?
Yes.
We
Well, we
say
all love everything about boats, don't
I know.
we say two average guys, one a newbie, the other an old salt, who love boats and talking all about boats.
And love
Excellent.
to talk to people about boats.
Well,
There we
you're
go.
probably wondering why on earth I'm here. Well, Andrea and I have traveled to Port Townsend, in fact, Port Ludlow, where we are today, to visit with Darren and Darren of the Boat Geeks. And in fact, they've just had me on their podcast, which was a heck of a lot of fun. We'll have to, down below, you'll see, link, whatever. How do they find it? What's it called?
The Boat Geeks on you can go to YouTube at the Boat Geeks.
Just-
You can go to theboatgeeks.com.
Look, podcasting mics and everything.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a
What
lot
do
of
they
fun.
say? Wherever you get your podcast.
Wherever you get your podcast. We gotta drink some beer.
Let's drink beer.
I have brought Canadian beer for these poor folk. Now, when I grew up, we used to mock American beer because it was just thin or whatever. But you know,
Budweiser.
American-
Two.
yeah, exactly. But fabulous beers are enjoyed down here. In fact, we just did a what'd you call it? Beer of the podcast.
Beer of the
Beer of the
podcast.
podcast.
On the end of their
honor.
podcast. Well, thank you very much. Where I enjoyed some absolutely fabulous local beverages. So I am trying one of my favorite breweries. You may recall I've been drinking for a while. Small Gods, Sydney, British Columbia, and this is their French Saison. And I've never had it, and I'm looking forward to it. What are we having elsewhere?
This is, what is that?
A red rose Scottish ale from Bartholomew's Public House. Is that from Bartholomew?
No, that's
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
No,
So
it's Small Gods. It's
Oh, Small Gods. I'm sorry.
Sydney,
Okay.
BC. Yep.
Yeah. It's just in. I think it may be in collaboration with
Bart's.
Bart's.
Yeah.
Which is our local.
Yeah.
one of our locals.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
And then I'm
over
trying
there-
one of your favorites, the
Yes!
bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome! All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so big cheers all around.
Cheers, everybody.
So glad to be here. This was a heck of a
Likewise.
Thanks
lot
for
of fun.
coming down.
Really,
Cheers.
really appreciate you hosting
We had
us.
fun.
Oh, that's yummy.
Oh,
Nice and
wow.
nutty. That's nice.
Boom, that
Yeah.
hits.
Hey, right?
It's a flavor.
Yeah.
You either
If
love
that
it or
isn't
hate it.
if that isn't a full on beer,
That
then-
hits you.
Yeah.
I like
it
that.
definitely hits you. And what do you folks think of the red?
I think it's lovely.
Is it lovely?
Yeah, it's nutty. It's what would you say?
It's very Scottish.
Good.
If it's
Well,
not Scot, it's crap.
God, you do better than I might have on that. That's excellent. The French saison is really quite nice. It's a saison, and I'm not a huge saison drinker, but I'm enjoying it.
This
Is that-
is
is that-
7%
that
alcohol
a-
on this one.
Yeah, I see you're already pouring again over there.
Am I?
Yeah,
didn't
that
notice.
is. Okay, we need to give away a t-shirt. Last week's winner of a Travels With Geordie t-shirt is Peter Nisbet. I hope I pronounced that correctly. 6132, is that correct?
You got it. Yeah.
Peter, we have a new system. Don't just get a hold of me. Please send me an email at swag@travelswithgeordie.com because I tend to lose track of some of the...
And I have to look them up.
And now that you're looking it up, it's much, much easier. Okay, so Peter Nisbet, send us an email that says anything at all at swag@travelswithgeordie.com and we'll set you up with your t-shirt. Cheers, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Love his name too, Peter. Great name.
It's a great name. It absolutely is a great name. What a fun afternoon this has been.
Absolutely.
How long have you been doing this podcast?
9 weeks.
Yeah.
9
9
weeks.
weeks?
But we've been
Well, we published our first show 9 weeks ago.
Right.
but we've been working on it for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, exactly. Good.
Yeah.
And if for those who haven't figured it out through the gentle aesthetics behind you, we are afloat, are we not?
Our floating studio.
It's our floating studio, yes.
Right here in
Port Ludlow Marina.
Ludlow Marina, which is just down the road from Port Townsend. And you do all your shows from here. No Zoomage, no just full on
In the studio.
in the studio live.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I have to admit, this has been my first experience with the podcast, and these fine gentlemen just interviewed me. And well, I guess is it interview? I don't know what it's called.
We had
Sure,
a,
we all
had a
just-
conversation.
We
with
all
you.
waved our arms in
Yeah.
the air anyway, and I can't imagine two guys that could have made that more pleasant and fun
you, sir.
and comfortable. It was a really, really fun experience.
It was.
And
For us, too.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And well, cheers to all that. It was a super good experience. We're sure to run into you all again.
Yes.
In the not too
Absolutely.
distant future, at least at the boat festival coming up.
Absolutely. And I do want to add to it, Darren and I have been fans of Travels with Geordie for a long time. So we've seen a lot of these Beer of the Week, and it is an honor to be
This really
involved
is
in that.
special.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, well then, you know what happens next. We need to give these good folks at home an opportunity to win a t-shirt next week.
Bingo.
And how do we do that?
A word of the week.
Go with it!
Yeah. So the word of the week this week is going to be geek.
Geek!
Right?
Or geek
The
or
word of the
or
week
is it the
is
plural
geek.
form? Is it singular or plural? Is
Well,
it geek or geeks?
If there's more than one of you, it's geeks, and if
Yeah.
there's just one of you, it's geek.
I
That
think
works.
either will work.
Either
All right?
form.
You know what to do with it. Geeks.
Here's to all the boat geeks out there.
See you next week. Cheers.